Let me tell you. There's a person who sits in a quiet room every night, staring at the ceiling. Not because they're bored. Not because they can't sleep. But because the world in their mind is louder than the one outside. During the day, they're calm, composed, responsible, normal. They laugh when they're supposed to laugh. They nod when someone speaks. They say I'm fine with mechanical ease. Everyone knows this version of them. Everyone trusts this version. But when the door closes and the lights fade, something shifts. A voice inside whispers, "You're pretending. You're not who they think you are. You're two people, and no one sees the real one." This is the split self. And this story might be about more people than we think. Most people think split self means something extreme. But in psychology, the split self is simply this: two versions of you that grew from two different experiences. One version tries to survive the world. The other tries to survive you. It's not madness. It's not weakness. It's an adaptation. Some build a split self because they grew up in homes where expressing emotion was dangerous. Some build it because they were judged too early, too harshly. Some build it because they learned that being authentic didn't get them love. So they created a protector self, confident, controlled, unshakable. And a hidden self, spilling with emotions, fears, unprocessed memories. Only a few ever see the hidden one. Sometimes not even the person themselves. The split self often starts in childhood. A child says, "I'm scared." And the answer they get is, "Stop being dramatic." A child cries, "I'm hurt." And the reply is, "You're fine. Don't make a scene." A child wants comfort, but receives comparison, pressure, silence, or disappointment. In that moment, the psyche makes a quiet decision. Showing who I am isn't safe, so I'll show them someone else. The fracture happens silently. Not with a crack, but with a whisper. Part of the child goes forward, polite, obedient, easy to manage. The other part stays behind, unseen, unheard, waiting. This is how the split self is born. And the world only meets the part that performs. The outer self is everything the world praises. Confident, strong, independent, unbothered, helpful, emotionally controlled. This self carries conversations, solves problems, manages relationships, and keeps life running smoothly. It remembers birthdays, apologizes first, shows up for others, and rarely asks for anything. People trust this version. People rely on this version. People admire this version. But that admiration becomes its prison. Because once the world expects you to be the strong one, you stop being allowed to be anything else. This is the part that holds the emotions you don't show. The part that doesn't get angry, but suppresses explosive anger. The part that doesn't cry, but carries years of tears. The part that doesn't break down, but is one push away from collapse. It is the fragile self. The vulnerable self. The honest self. It is the version that only comes out in late-night thoughts. Or in moments of overwhelm. Or in the silence after someone's hurtful words. Or in a mirror reflection that suddenly looks like a stranger. This self is not weak. This self is raw. It's the part that holds childhood wounds, unspoken fears, unmet needs, and memories that were never processed. It is the you that you hide. Not because you want to, but because once upon a time, you had to. One of the strangest things about the split self is this. The two versions of you stop communicating. The outer self becomes practical, logical, responsible. It says, "Don't cry now. This is not the time. Act normal. You can deal with this later." But later never comes. The inner self becomes emotional, sensitive, overwhelmed. It says, You're tired. You're hurt. You need a break. You need someone to hold you. But the outer self doesn't listen. They become strangers inside the same body, living parallel lives, sharing the same heart, but never sharing the truth. Over time, the split self creates a side effect. Numbness. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind where you laugh at jokes but don't feel joy. Where you say you're tired but it's not physical tiredness. Where you watch your life like it's happening to someone else. This is dissociation. Not forgetting who you are, but forgetting how to feel who you are. The outer self is alive. The inner self is suffocating. And you're stuck in the space between the two. People with a split self behave differently in relationships. They care deeply, but don't show it easily. They want closeness, but closeness feels dangerous. They want to be understood, but they hide the parts that need understanding. They crave emotional intimacy, but fear emotional exposure. They say I'm okay when they're breaking. They pull back when someone gets too close. They get overwhelmed by affection they don't think they deserve. They leave first because they think they'll eventually be left. It's not rejection. It's protection. It's the split self trying to keep them safe. At some point, people with a split self begin asking, which one is the real me? The calm one or the chaotic one? The performer or the hidden self? The strong one or the exhausted one? The truth is, both. And neither. You are the whole. The split self is not two different people trapped inside you. It is one person who learned how to survive two different worlds. The world outside that demanded perfection, and the world inside that needed healing. You are not pretending. You are adapting. Eventually, the inner self gets tired of being silent. The emotions spill. The memories resurface. The walls crumble. This usually appears as a sudden emotional breakdown, a long crying episode, overreaction to something small, a panic attack out of nowhere, extreme exhaustion, loss of interest in everything, or the feeling of I don't know who I am anymore. This is not weakness. This is a reunion. Your inner self is knocking at the door you kept locked for years, saying, please, let me exist too. Healing a split self isn't about choosing which self to keep. It's about integrating them. Let the outer self protect, but not silence. Let the inner self feel, but not overwhelm. Let both selves speak. Let both selves coexist. This healing happens when you start expressing instead of suppressing. Start feeling instead of functioning. Start resting instead of performing. Start talking about the hurt instead of hiding it. Start giving yourself the love you didn't receive. Integration is not dramatic. It is gentle. It is the moment you can sit with yourself and think, I don't have to be two people anymore. The more you understand the split self, the more you realize. It didn't form because you were weak. It formed because you were strong enough to survive what hurt you. The split self was the version of you that held your trauma so you could keep living. It was the version that protected you, carried you, defended you. It saved you. And now, you are ready to save it back. So if you've ever felt like you're living as two different people, one that the world sees, and one that cries quietly inside you, you're not broken. You're not lost. You're not dramatic. You're not too emotional. You are a survivor of your own story. A story that shaped you into more than one version of yourself. But now, it's time to let those versions meet. To let them merge. To let them heal. Because the truth is, you were never meant to live divided. You were meant to live whole.